One of the actions you can perform within the Manage System Time task is to configure the external time source, or ETS, for any system in the CTN. With the Manage System Time task open, clicking the Configure External Time Source action launches a wizard dialog that guides you through the process of configuring the ETS for any member of the currently selected CTN. The task wizard is broken into several steps listed across the top of the panel. Each step contains detailed instructions, including inline definitions for completing the step, additional guidance that might help you with making your decisions, and a history of the selections you've made throughout the wizard thus far. In this first step, we are asked to choose a system whose external time source we want to modify. The list of systems shows details such as the system name, including any roles it has in the CTN, the type of ETS currently configured, as well as the NTP servers defined for it. Let's choose S31W and click the Next button. You'll now notice that we see the system we selected under the Previous Selections area for convenient reference. In this step, we are asked to choose what type of ETS server we want to use. We can select a standard NTP server or an NTP server with a pulse per second signal for enhanced time accuracy. You can also choose not to use an ETS, in which case you'll be warned of reduced time accuracy. Let's cancel that and choose the standard NTP option and click the Next button. Immediately after we click the Next button, a connectivity test is run against each configured NTP server. If you have not yet configured any NTP servers, then the connectivity test will fail, but that's okay. At this point, we can add or change the servers and then rerun the connectivity test to verify them. We can configure or modify up to 2 NTP servers. It is strongly recommended that you configure 2 servers to ensure that you have a redundant ETS. In order to add or modify an NTP server, click on the pencil icon in the NTP server column. Now we need to enter the domain name or IP address for the NTP server we are going to use for this system. Since we've previously entered this information, we'll click the check mark. Now let's try putting something invalid for the second server so we can see what happens when we run the connectivity test. Now that we've entered in our 2 NTP servers, we have to enable them by clicking the slider in the Enabled column next to each server. In our case, they are already enabled because we had enabled them previously. Let's see what happens when we run a connectivity test against these 2 servers. We see that the connectivity test itself was successfully run. However, we have an error indicator in the connection status column for the second server. Fortunately, the drop-down arrow to the right of the error indicator provides us with significant details about what error occurred, as well as possible ways to resolve it. You can find a complete list of possible status error messages and details in the help. So let's fix the second server and then run the connectivity test again. This time we see that both servers had no errors and are given the green check mark. You'll also notice that the stratum and source columns are updated for each NTP server. A stratum value of 1 indicates that the time is obtained directly from a reference time source that is shown in the source column. A list of possible time sources can be found in the help. If, however, the stratum value is greater than 1, this indicates that the time is obtained from the IP address shown in the source column, which is 1 or more hops away from a reference time source. For example, in this case, a stratum value of 2 indicates that the time was obtained 1 hop away from a reference time source. In addition to specifying our NTP servers, we can optionally configure various thresholds or tolerances before triggering hardware messages. For instance, if you want to be notified if either of our NTP servers' stratum level is greater than a single hop away, we can set the stratum level threshold to 3. We can also set a delay as to when we want to be notified about a source ID changing for one of our NTP servers. Refer to the main task help for more details and examples about configuring NTP thresholds. Now that we're done setting our NTP thresholds, let's click the Apply button to confirm the changes. So now we've successfully entered both our NTP servers, verified they are communicating, and configured our NTP thresholds. If at any point we wanted to restore the original NTP servers, there is a convenient reset button that would allow us to do that, but in this case, we'll click the Next button to continue. In this last step prior to confirmation, we are asked to select which server we want to use as our preferred NTP server. Normally, we would select the second server in this list since we know it's currently at Stratum 1. However, let's select the first server at Stratum Level 2 for the purposes of this demo. The final step in the wizard is a confirmation panel that compares everything you configured for each step in the wizard to the original values. From here, you can click the edit links to jump directly back to any step in the wizard if you need to make additional changes. Since all our changes look correct, let's click the Apply button. Oh, what's this? It looks like the wizard noticed we didn't select the NTP server with the lowest stratum value, or in other words, the one that is closest to a reference time server. Let's cancel this and go back and select the other NTP server at Stratum 1. We'll use the convenient edit link to jump directly back to the step where we selected the preferred NTP server and select the other server. Let's click Next to continue. Let's try to apply these changes again and see what happens. Now it looks like the changes were applied successfully. When the changes have been applied, you'll see a confirmation message recommending that you perform a mirror operation to ensure the alternate support element is also updated with the new ETS configuration. From here, you can choose to configure an ETS for another system or close the wizard if you're done. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other useful videos.